We are going to look at the competition between Amazon and Barnes & Nobles from the establishment up till now with a focus on the business models and strategies. Firstly, we are going to look at the industry analysis, which is Porter's 5 forces. Bargaining power of suppliers. In the book retailer industry, the bargaining power of suppliers can be considered moderate since book retailers can purchase books from a wide range of publishers as well as wholesale distributors. In general, publishers have supplier power over the distribution of titles, the list price, and the retailer's cost price. However, the significant purchasing volume of the larger book retailer such as Barnes & Nobles and Amazon provide an advantage in negotiating with the suppliers. In this situation, the bargaining power of suppliers is relatively low. The threat of entry is low. As for the physical bookstore, the capital requirements would be too high for a newcomer, and even though the internet-only bookseller would have less capital cost, the established firms like Amazon.com have the first mover's advantage. High product awareness and economies of scale make it very difficult for new entrants to enter. The threat of substitutes is high in this industry. Substitutes for leisure time reading include all entertainment activities like TV, radio, internet, etc. As for academic reading, the substitutes can be academic journals, reports, scholarly newspapers, or magazines. Rivalry is high. In book retail industry, the product differentiation is low, whether customers buy it from a physical store or others. Based on the sales share, we can see in last few years, there is a fierce competition between bricks and mortars and internet booksellers. And to satisfy all the needs of the consumers, several large chain physical bookstores have established their own online platform, which allow their customers to continue shopping in their loyalty brand, which increases the competitiveness within the industry. The buyer power. The more products that become standardized or differentiated, like book retailer industry, the lower the switching cost and hence more power is yielded to the buyers. This industry is the customer-oriented industry and face high bargaining power of buyers as consumers have many different options to buy a book as we mentioned before. Ulko, can you analyze the important events during the last 20 years?
Yes, in 1997, Amazon issued its initial public stock at a price of $18 per share. Then Amazon got more investment and capability to offer customers more discounts and realize an economy of scale. More important, at the same year, Barnes & Noble made a big step in their business by operating its online store. Moving to 2005, Amazon launched its Amazon Prime. As a result, Amazon Prime members tend to spend significantly more money than non-Prime members, and it turned out to be a crucial element for acquiring customers for Amazon, helping it to become the dominant e-commerce company. Furthermore, Amazon's non-stop strategy adoptions and breakthrough innovative development makes them launch Kindle in 2007. The rise of ebooks distorted the market of printed books. In this situation, Barnes & Noble, as a reply to Amazon, launched its e-reader Nook in 2009 in order to enter the ebook market. When initially introduced, Barnes & Noble achieved a 20% share of the ebook market in less than a year. However, Barnes & Noble as a latecomer in the e-reader market cannot be compared with Amazon. The sales of Nook decreased gradually in recent years. In 2015, Barnes & Noble shuttered the international bookstore, Nook store. Guys, did you know that in 2015, Amazon opened its first physical store in Seattle?
While a company that destroyed the physical bookstore industry would possibly want to operate a physical store?
That's a good question. Amazon's physical store in Seattle can be considered as a first step in its extension plan. There are stations for its Kindle e-reader and other digital devices. Ultimately, Amazon treats its physical bookstore as a pickup point and a place to experience online retailer gadgets. And the main point is that Amazon wants to conquer literally everything in its path, including bricks and mortar store.
Now we are going to take a look at Bowman's clock in the past and present. As we can see, 20 years ago, Amazon mainly sold books and focused on price competition. Thus, it fell in the low price area. In terms of the perceived value to customer, Amazon is located in the middle section because even though it's a new online bookstore, it provides relatively low price and more convenience than physical store. That's what it is in the middle area of perceived value to customers. For Barnes & Noble, 20 years ago, Barnes & Noble didn't have much diversity. Barnes & Noble has price advantage because it cooperates with publishers and authors that it can obtain books directly. Such strategy makes them fall in the low price area. However, Barnes & Noble is a physical store with more expenditure and cost than online bookstore like Amazon. Thus, Barnes & Noble's price will be slightly higher than Amazon to create higher margin and cover its costs. The characteristics like in-store atmosphere cannot be replaced by an online bookstore, so Barnes & Noble should locate more close to a hybrid section. And here is where Amazon and Barnes & Noble located in Bowman's strategy clock now. 20 years after, both Amazon and Barnes & Noble have changed a lot in their business model. Amazon tries to expand its product variety. Besides selling books, it starts selling other products like clothes, toys, and electronic devices, for etc. Therefore, though Amazon still remains in the low price area, its perceived value is much higher now. The more diversified Amazon is, the higher perceived value to customer concedes because as a successful online bookstore. As change made by Amazon, Barnes & Noble also managed to integrate its bookstore with other fields like well-known coffee shop Starbucks, video games, comic, music, and gifts in 20 years. So after 20 years, Barnes & Noble is located in the middle of hybrid and differentiation.
Now we look at the VRIO analysis. There are three vital segments which Amazon can pass through the VRIO analysis. R&D. For Amazon, one of its major resources is R&D expertise. High initial investment in R&D when there was low competition and IPO ensured future cash flow to finance its further R&D projects. Amazon's previously outlay on R&D paid off by offering clients a sophisticated online system in terms of simplicity and customer orientation. Its wish list provides a personalized interface for different customers. It's rare because it takes time, money, and also huge database to approach customers' needs. Moreover, these technological innovations are costly to imitate because of the high level of R&D spending and expertise required. Additionally, product breakthrough as the Kindle has caused a revolution in the publishing industry and given the company a significant competitive advantage. Brand name. Amazon's brand image comes in large part from customers' shopping experience, and this is determined by the tech-based interface. That is the reason why we think for Amazon, R&D and brand image is interrelated in that personalized system makes Amazon clients more loyal to its brand, and this loyalty is founded upon their tech-based experience. Distribution channel. Amazon's logistics systems ensure its delivery efficiency. In choosing locations for its warehouse and transfer centers, Amazon can be regarded as pioneers in establishing its own logistics system that facilitates timely delivery regardless of the location of customers. Considering the geographic extension of USA, the huge logistics network is not easy to copy for online starters, at least within a short time. Amazon, in its early days, deliberately chose to place its distribution centers in those states which either did not charge sales tax or in states with smaller population, which could efficiently service nearby states with large population in order for those consumers to shop tax-free. Barnes & Noble has two segments, brand name and physical store. We believe that brand name is an important value for Barnes & Noble. Therefore, it is valuable for most people who bear good impression in their minds. And also, its well-known name and reputation takes time and effort to achieve. The physical stores are the most valuable asset of Barnes & Noble. From the layout of the store to the design of reading environment, Barnes & Noble retains the first-hand unique reading and shopping experiences for its customers, which is unmatched by online booksellers. In spite of the growing popularity for Amazon, Barnes & Noble still occupies a dominant role in retail bookstore market. The tradition of buying stores in bookstore together with the positive and long-established brand image of B&L is a strong resource.
As we realize the unique resources both companies have, let's take a look at SWOT analysis. Amazon enjoys price competitiveness and is currently the market leader in online book retail sales. E-reader Kindle eliminates the need for publishers and distributors as long as Amazon strikes a deal with authors themselves for right of publication. The lowest price of books comes with high transportation and logistic costs, and there is mounting security hazard on internet. The number of providers is also a problem for Amazon. Amazon, of course, has any opportunity to improve. There is still much room for technology innovation with a changing consumption behavior. Thus, it is good to keep investing in R&D to further enhance its online platform. They can also optimize its operational efficiency. There is also a threat of traditional physical bookstores going online, and Amazon is still in experimentation stage due to uncertainty about the prospect of operating physical stores. Barnes & Noble has many weaknesses right now to work on. Firstly, it has to invest much in maintaining the physical stores and its digital business. Secondly, most of the inventory is acquired from a limited number of suppliers. Barnes & Noble has no guarantee from these suppliers to assure delivery of merchandise, especially during the recent economic decline.
Ultimately, we have some strategies for Amazon and Barnes & Noble. For long-term strategies for Amazon, the main thing to keep margin low to maintain cost leadership. To expand geographically, therefore investing in distribution channel to increase efficiency and meet customer demand. To eliminate Kindle Fire and focus more on Kindle. And to expand its service offerings such as cloud storage. The main question nowadays is whether Barnes & Noble will survive in this tense competition or not. Barnes & Noble is now losing its profit because of the competition with mainly Amazon, and it needs to maintain to lower the margin. The company has lost both its financial control and technology development. They also have not allocated the resources into R&D, which means that they are not creating new products and losing the innovation way. To make the recommendation for the future, we need to look at companies' established long-term strategies and plan, which are changing the concept of website to better serve the needs of the customers, including customer recommendation and an enhanced loyalty program. The other strategy is to implement a universal code and policy to ensure that Barnes & Noble stores are functional as a single cohesive unit. Partnership with Google will give Barnes & Noble advantage of all of their resources and improve the operation system of the electronic devices. By partnering with Android operation system will help them to create the application of mobile phones as well.
Here are some future recommendations by us. Widening the offerings like the non-book categories or expand their product range. Focus more on Nook. Partnership with schools and universities. Do not allocate resources only on brick and mortar outlets. Focus on company as a whole. Innovation is the key of success. Thank you.